was about something different. My boyfriend stared at me, consumed by the scent of blood and the irresistible desire to devour. That is what you want? Me to be like others, Jagger and Sebastian, impulsive, needy? No, I said, I want you to be you. This is never about being with anyone else. I could see Alexander was in turmoil. I was tempting him with something that was bigger than a fantasy to him. This was his everyday reality, a basic desire he had to fight against it. It's okay, I said. I moved back and glanced away from him. But instead of retreating too, he stood still. I could feel his gaze fixed on me with a power that was not. No, he said, don't go. I was surprised by Alexander's response. It heated his plea. I wasn't sure what he would do next. I almost gasped. Instead of leaving me, he stepped closer and took my place in his hand. Alexander was so close to me, his alluring presence took my breath away. He slowly reached his hand to my cheek. I froze as if the events were happening in slow motion. As his firm hand slid seductively along my face, I melted with it. Then he tenderly wiped the blood from my mouth. It was as if he had just touched my soul. My blood was now staining his fingers, just as it had stained mine. I waited with bated breath as the biggest moment of my life unfolded. I didn't think that anything could have been dreamier than the first time we kissed or I slept in his coffin. Alexander was moments from taking my blood to know. I suddenly filled with guilt and sadness as I thought maybe Alexander was doing this for the wrong reason. Or maybe I just worn him down. I took his hand and lifted his mighty sleeve to wipe the dripping blood away. You don't have to, I finally said. Alexander gently blocked my face with my hand with his free one. I want to, he said intensely. The moment seemed so real, and I felt as if I were in a dream. My body flooded with warmth. Alexander stared at the dewy blood droplets now trickling down the side of his ghost-white tongue. It was as if he was making the decision of a lifetime. This wasn't just any blood, it was my blood. Alexander glanced at me and smiled. The sharp fangs caught the moonlight and glistened like ice. Then Alexander drew his hand to his mouth. I watched, my mouth agape, as he took his bloody hand to his lips, pressed his hand to his mouth, and then the red droplets disappeared. He inhaled a huge audible breath, as if he were breathing the life of me. I gazed at Alexander. He appeared transformed. For a moment it seemed as if his pale complexion was almost alive. Alexander whipped toward me with an unbridled intensity. He leaned into me, his hair flopping over his forehead, kissed me with such a force my knees shook and my flesh quivered, and thought I might die of a heavenly bliss. Alexander held me, lifted his arms. I felt bonded to him in a deeper way than I'd ever experienced. He let me into his world further than he had ever before. Alexander squeezed me so tightly it was as if we were one person. He picked me up and swung me around. The twinkling lights of dull gold swirling behind me. When he let me down, we both were giddy and dizzy. When I regained my vision, I could see my school, the country club, and the vacant Sinclair mill off in the distance. It was then I noticed something unusual. Alexander found me lost in thought. What is it? He said. I hope you are. Oh no, everything is fine, I reassured him. It's nothing. I didn't want anything to break our perfect moment. What's wrong? He insisted. I had to squint to make out the object. It was then I could see clearly a familiar car, or rather a coat. I tried to block Alexander's view by attempting to pull him away, but he didn't budge. Alexander was already staring at the barren factory. His blissful expression sharpened slightly, and I could teleregister to him that it was Jagger's car. I remained in his comforting clutches, bound to my love in a way that I hadn't before. We clung to each other, both reluctant to break our euphoric encounter and face the situation that we now overlooked. So Jagger hadn't gone back to Romania or Hipsterville when Alexander's party was over. There had to be a reason why he didn't return and was apparently staying in the factory. Alexander and I shared one last kiss before giving over to the distraction that lay at the